Good evening. It's Thursday, December 8th. Time for our news. I'm Constantino Tsindas. Cyprus, Greece and Israel held a Trilateral summit today in Jerusalem as part of their ongoing deepening cooperation, which, as they have said repeatedly, does not constitute a threat to other countries in the region. Following trilateral talks with Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, President Anastasiadis said he was pleased with Israel's support in efforts to reach a comprehensive and viable settlement of the Cyprus issue based on UN resolutions and EU principles. The goal, he added, was a solution that would end occupation and render all guarantor power rights of every country null and void. He stressed that energy was a basic pillar of the trilateral cooperation between Cyprus, Israel and Greece, further noting that the discovery of hydrocarbons in the eastern Mediterranean was a catalyst to the development of regional cooperation and stability. He further added that the meeting codified specific aspects of cooperation in the fields of energy, combating terrorism, tourism, health, research and innovation. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan will represent his country as a guarantor power in Cyprus at an international conference on January 12th in Geneva that will follow talks between President Anastasiadis and Mustafa Akinci, focusing on territory. The Turkish presidency spokesman Ibrahim Kalin confirmed relevant reports, saying that from the outset the Turkish side had been a step ahead and adopted a constructive stance in negotiations. Erdogan's spokesman praised the Turkish Cypriot performance in negotiations and welcomed the decision to resume settlement talks. Meanwhile, Greek Foreign Minister Nikos Kotzias held talks with his Turkish counterpart Mevlut Çavuşoğlu on the sidelines of the OSCE conference in Hamburg, focusing on developments on the Cyprus issue, particularly the international conference called for January 12th. Athens had requested a meeting between Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras and Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan before the holding of the conference, and as such, the meeting between the two ministers was considered as preparatory. The US and Russia are poles apart in trying to agree on terms for evacuations from besieged East Aleppo, UN Syria humanitarian advisor Jan Egeland said. 5 months of negotiations over 8 plans had all failed and produced nothing, he noted, and it was now up to the United States and Russia to pull together to agree an evacuation of the besieged sector, which the UN has said may hold 8,000 fighters among more than 200,000 civilians. Russia, he added, was no longer promising to pause fighting to allow people to leave, but their suggestion of humanitarian corridors was not worth the name without a ceasefire. Nearly 150 civilians, most disabled or in need of urgent care, were evacuated overnight from a hospital in Aleppo's Old City, the first major medical evacuation from the eastern sector. They had been trapped there for days by nearby fighting, and as the front line moved closer, ICRC spokeswoman Krista Armstrong said, with only 5 staff to look after them. The president of the Aleppo Town Council said, meanwhile, that more than 800 people have been killed and 3,000 wounded in the past 26 days, while the remaining 150,000 trapped civilians await an effective death sentence. That's it for our news. Now look at the weather. Clear skies tomorrow. Winds will be easterly to northeasterly in the morning and locally light variable, force 3, later turning light to moderate southwesterly to northwesterly, force 3 to 4 with slight seas. Temperatures will rise to 18 degrees Celsius inland and in coastal regions, and 6 over the mountains. That's it from us. More news tomorrow. Good evening, everyone.